Authority, the Israeli Export Institute, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all our economical attaches and defense attache are just going around abroad and they say, look, come here, see the technologies. We are ready to share them. We're ready to give it to you in order that you will be able to protect your population. And this is the main issue and the main goal of this exhibition.
Welcome to the autonomous age, where drones map our cities, robots save lives, and underwater vehicles scan the ocean floor. I'm Shai Senior, and this podcast is your front row seat to the real stories behind the machines shaping our future and the people behind them, from the engineers and researchers to the entrepreneurs and investors. So exciting to be here. That's actually the episode that is closing our first season. So if you have any ideas, thoughts, feedbacks before we get into season 2, that's the time. We're here on both Apple Podcast and Spotify. We'd like to hear your comments, get to learn better. What are you more interested to hear about, and how can we be as useful, as practical, and drilling into the topics that you're actually curious about in defense, in robots, in drones, and anything related to autonomous vehicles that we are going to talk about in this podcast. So today, episode 10, is not with a founder of a drones company, and it isn't with defense and military background expert that is doing research around unmanned vehicles and the future of wars. Today I'm sitting with Lior Caspi, an entrepreneur and live media event producer with the focus on actually bringing Israeli technology and exporting it globally. I'm excited to have you here today, Leo.
I'm excited as well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So let's start 25 years ago.
Almost 40 years ago, 1986.
1986.
Pre-Intifada, pre-September 11, pre.
What was back then that made you start looking into that space?
Well, first of all, when you say that no military background, so not much people in Israel doesn't have any military background.
Yeah, I didn't mean that you don't have a...
I understand, but I'm not empathize it, but once I got into this business of live media, exhibition, conferences, simulations, B2B, everything that combines a meeting face-to-face, eye-to-eye, because that kind of marketing looks to me as the most vivid and important and sufficient way to do things. So I wanted to deal with media. When I saw, media, advertising, newspapers, television, radio, this kind of media enchanted me, and I chose this one. And once I looked at the market, I said, we're a security and defense country, not from our own request. I mean, it was forced on us since we are living the Jewish people. And that must be a marketing stage, a marketing platform for the Israeli defense and security industries, because unfortunately we're kind of a live laboratory when things are happening and you can test defense and security technologies, what we call today combat proven. So it is tested in the field every day because we are struggling for our security. It's something odd idea that you have to fight in order to have peace. But
Right.
this is the way. So I understood that this thing will interest the world, and I read in an article that the defense industry is one of the leading industries that can influence all other industries in the states, because it's very demanding industry. It's a very high tech industry, and it takes a lot of funds in order to produce it and promote it. And I think that the other very special advantage in Israel, that in contrary to other industries all over the world, when the engineers and developers are sitting in their
Labs.
factories, in the labs, and then they have to set a meeting with their clients, with the soldiers, with the army, and to understand what they need and how to do it, and if it's good or not. So in Israel, it might be that the engineer is a tank commander in his
Reserves.
reserve, or this lab work is a pilot or a parachuter, and this immediate connection with the field and with the needs and with the aspects of what you produce are very fast. So the solutions can be very direct and very accurate, and very, all the way is very short and very fast.
So I will get deeper into that and explain. In Israel, almost every person, as Lior mentioned, he's not done his career in the military, but each one and every man and woman in Israel had probably made in some way a service for the country. It could be wearing uniform and fighting as a warrior. It could be in social service. And on that layer, people have their day job, what they studied, the engineering background, but at the same time, when we get into situations like war or extreme events that are taking place, doesn't matter where in the country, people put their second hat and they take responsibility to help people that were injured, rescue people from a burning house, save lives, or protect civilians that are running for their lives. And I feel that when you're saying marketing, so of course all what you talked about, all the ways open for an individual that is probably a tank commander on one hand and an engineer on the other, those things really go along and they pass quick. I think that brings us to a lot of entrepreneurs talk about falling in love with the problem. Here, we are living a problem for so many years. You can remember certain moments in your life that you've realized that's the place where I'm living, but having said that, I cannot live in any other place, and I will grow my kids in this country. It's not only that I will grow them here, I will educate them on why not to leave that place and put their energies and efforts in order to make sure that this country continues existing and being here for the Israeli people.
Wow, it's a very big question, but this is our life, because thinking about me as a child, 13 or 14 years old, when my father was a principal of a high school, is an education person. He was as well in the reserve a troop commander in the tank brigade, and during the Yom Kippur War in '73, he fought in the Ramat Golan, and he, with other friends, with his tanks, just go over the Syrians or the Iraqians with the weapons and fought in order to us and the Israeli people to live. It was a surviving war. And 1 year ago, my son, a parachuter, spent almost a year and a half in Gaza in an horrible war. Just is a kid just graduated high school as a musician, and he fought there in order to save our life, to save the Israeli South, let's say, and it almost happened in the North as well. So yes, this is the story of our life, and although we believe that this is our place, and we are really eager for peace. I mean, we have the best technologies, the best defense technologies, and the best other technologies. We're just talking about agriculture and food security. We are an innovating nation. We are a nation that strives for solutions because of our size, and we're a small country, and with we don't have enough money or enough water or enough people or enough. We are striving for our life, but this is our life, and I think although all those things, this is the best place to live. I have a good life here, and I'm sure that my kids will have the same life here, although having, the needs to be the best. And one of the things that I'm saying about the Defense Tech exhibition, that the Israeli defense industry is ready to share the knowledge, the experience, the technology with all the world in order to have global peace, global quiet for the population, global security for the world population.
So let's talk a little bit about marketing. Like, how do you deliver that message? I'm sure there were very hard years. We all know what happened on October 7th, but then how the agenda and the conversation have changed until some point that we felt everything is going against us, even though we have our right to protect our people, to bring our brothers and sisters back home, being hostage. And how for you, as a person that is on the media side and responsible to deliver a message to the world, that all what we're doing is actually in order to live peacefully. You're mentioning the word peace since we started the conversation, I think more than any other word. And then we're talking about defense at the same time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think that things are really changed during the years. I mean, on 1986, I established the first exhibition. It was Security Israel, more about the protection of civil environment, because defense were very defense like times before, and we have people coming to Israel because of our knowledge in counterterrorism. Then became September 11, and all the special units and the combat units raise a lot of interest in what's going on in Israel. But although delegations had almost always this controversial decision if we should come or not should come, because the Intifada, because there are people here, are we against them? Are there any apartheid in Israel? And all other questions that once they arrived here, they understood that it's not like that. But it was really a challenge to bring them here. And it wasn't just because of our technologies and our advantages, but it also because the idea was that we are really looking for peace, and all these armaments and all this industry is here in order to defend ourselves, not to attack, not to to get some visions like to control the world. Now, in what happened in October 2023 was a game changer in what we feel around the world. And I mean, I have friends organizers of the big security defense exhibitions abroad. In Germany, in France, Eurosatory and Milipol, in the United States, AUSA. We are a milieu of professionals that deals with this live media, as you said, and we have agents all over the world, in Czech Republic, in India, in Finland, in Latvia, in Germany, of course, and they say, although the professionals from Ministry of Defense and governments know that that's their responsibility to protect their population, and therefore they have to come to Israel in order to see how to protect them, let's say, from the challenges that we have, like in Ukraine, and all Europe now is getting armament in order to protect herself, because nobody knows what happened. It's a time of turmoil in the world, but some of them cannot do it because of the politics, because of the image of Israel, because there are many people abroad that think that we are doing horrible things, and they don't think that they should count here. And although all that, Germany just bought the Hetz 3, and there are delegations that are coming here. Some of them ask her to come not with uniforms, not as officials, because they want this technology, so that they will come to the exhibition. We planned the exhibition on the beginning in Jerusalem, and then we decided that Jerusalem is kind of a statement, and if our goal is to promote, to export Israeli knowledge, so we should do it marketing-wise, and marketing-wise is to do it in Tel Aviv. Now, I must tell you that, let's say, in Eurosatory in 2024, where they didn't allow Israeli industries to exhibit there, it wasn't just a matter of politics or criticism about what they are doing in the war. It was also a business-wide decision of the French industries, because they knew that once the Israeli won't be there, they'll have the market. Now, the market is growing by billions in these last 2 years, and the expectation that it will grow much more. And the more the marketing will be more aggressive, or more advanced, or more with efforts, with the right efforts, the more the Israeli industry will gain the part of these budgets all over the world. But it's hard to do it, and because of that, we're having this exhibition. It's supported by the Israeli government, but the support is not just on giving us the support in order to promote it abroad, in bringing delegations, the Ministry of Defense, the Foreign Trade Authority, the Israeli Export Institute, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all our economical attaches and defense attache are just going around abroad, and they say, look, come here, see the technologies. We are ready to share them. We're ready to give it to you in order that you will be able to protect your population. And this is the main issue and the main goal of this exhibition, the DEFENSE.TECH exhibition. And we call it DEFENSE.TECH. But when I think about it through the years, in 2005, for example, the first it was the big name was low intensity conflict. So we changed it from defense to low intensity conflict, to kill the fly on the wall. And technologies we have changed, and so this was the name. And afterwards, we call it combat. We call it every name. And now in the last 3 years, the DEFENSE.TECH became a synonym that everybody use it. But it is the same. Maybe the perception of the DEFENSE.TECH is the connecting of many aspects of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity and economy and geopolitics and geostrategy, but it's all mean the same: technologies to protect population, to protect, to save them, to guard them, to let them live happily and peacefully.
Super interesting. And if we go back, because you were talking about the present, and it's very interesting to learn how did it all evolved also in the synonyms that are used in order to express what those events are representing. Were there points that you remember that you said, okay, that's a meaningful moment, something is going to change in that industry? We are living progress for the state of Israel. We're living a progress for cybersecurity, homeland security.
Well, definitely. First of all, I think that for me, for myself, September 11 was a big change in the whole perception, because the ability of a terror group, not so big, not so powerful, to cause this kind of horrible terror attack in the center of New York, causing death of 3,000, 4,000 people. And it changed the whole perception of how to defend. I mean, the border became the center of the city. So now we are talking, and the name, the synonym, Homeland Security, it arrived just after, I think, half year after September 11, when they established the Ministry of Homeland Security in the United States.
Right.
It wasn't before. And suddenly Homeland Security became an issue as important like defending our borders, because the war used to be in the borders, and the population, you have to get in shelter sometimes, but nobody thought about that the war is inside the city, inside the town, inside the schools, inside the business centers, and this was a big change of the whole perception of defending population.
Yeah, I remember as a kid growing around the world. In most airports, they wouldn't even have metal detectors or anything like that. They would check physically the bags on statistic level. And then I could see the evolvement of that after September 11th, that there were, of course, RFPs for detective machines, first in airports, then in hotels. You can see in the Far East detectors in the entrance to hotels. And
It takes us to shopping malls.
right?
Infrastructure security, for example. Industry security wasn't, the security managers in industry and in corporation and universities and education establishment, what they did, they just controlled the workers and things like that. And since September 11, everything has been changed. I mean, causing terror to industry lines, for example. This is a thing that nobody thought about it before. Putting, I don't know, in a train station, a bomb in the train station, a bomb in the market, it changed the whole world, because from one side, we got to get prepared into other challenges with the technologies, with the capabilities of the security people, with the police. What we say, the National Guard, for example. But on the other hand, unfortunately, it encouraged the terrorists to do more aggressive things, more aggressive actions, and they got the technology themselves. So this is the big change. No, on the years or so, the cybersecurity got inside, because the more we used computers, and the more we used the media, and the more we got on air, for example, the world net. So the cyber threat and they are becoming more and more, and everybody is now doing cybersecurity. But also changes like 10 years ago, they say that this is the end of the era of tanks, for example.
Right.
And in Gaza war and in Ukraine, they understood that the tank troops are very useful and are very meaningful to the war. So now I think that what's happening in the last 4 years, 4.5 years, with the war in Ukraine, when a country like Russia, they doesn't care about everything. They're bombing Ukraine, and the Ukrainians, they're fighting back. And the whole understanding of what's going on in the world, how China is connected to this, Iran, Hamas and Hezbollah are like, well, they are not. They're, as a matter of fact, the proxies of Iran and maybe of China, and South Korea. So the whole war is unstable, and in this kind of even in these kind of situations, countries have to take care about their population. And I saw, I think three months ago, the Sweden government, or was and the Netherlands as well, they released a letter of procedure for the whole population. We're getting to a wartime, and you have to prepare yourself. In Sweden, in Norway, in Europe, in countries that nobody knows about what they are saying. So there are a lot of changes, and if we, with our unfortunate luck that we have to protect and defend ourselves, can supply these solutions for these things, so why not? And we are really thinking about it. However, we have this kind of, it's a good business. Defense, it's a good business. Bertolt Brecht wrote the Ima Courage, Mother Courage play show on this matter, because war and defense is a big business, but it's a big business that they take the industries, and we're talking about dual use,
to the edge.
but it also can serve us. We just talked about it. I believe that the next challenges of the war will be food, energy, and climate. And you can see, your autonomous podcast, all these autonomous vehicles and appliances are good for agriculture, for food security, for energy, for climate, for space. I mean, the whole idea of civil space. Space is very important for national security. But the technologies that uses space and space technologies, they can go to many other fields of civil use. And we have in the Defense Tech conference, we have a special seat that dedicated to civil space and national security, for example, or artificial intelligence in the battlefield and in industry in general. And this kind of
Doing these bridges
this
and
kind of bridges, I think this is the future. This is the future. And today we have to invest money and efforts in order to protect ourselves. But this once everybody will sit in peace in the world, that we will have a global peace and global everybody will be like in the Bible, they turn their swords to shovels. So we can use these technologies and these funds that go to this defense tech industry in order to use this to other things that there'll be another challenges.
that's very interesting. And one of the sentences that you mentioned when I asked about an important point that you've realized that things have changed, I think the purpose of terror is to disturb our life. But when it was armies against armies, as you said, they were fighting on the borders of the country itself, or wherever it was defined, my area and your area. And when the terrorist organizations have realized that it hurts more when you get into civilian areas, that's where the game have changed. I mean, we always, as Israelis, try to uh, explain to people living in the States, for example, what does it mean to have 100 rockets sent to the capital in a day? Because in our point of view, you're saying, okay, if they would do that on Austin, Texas, probably it won't be more than a day that the United States will start a war with Mexico.
Definitely.
And for us, it's already a way of living, sadly, because on one hand, you were talking about the magnificent ideas that come up from war and that it's a business and technologies evolve, but then we have an example like Iron Dome, and that's actually something that you say, okay, that protects us. Maybe sometimes it makes people look at it as, okay, there is an offender and an offended side in the equation, and then they would always look at us as a strong state that is not letting a smaller group to exist there. And I don't want to get too much into politics, but I want to understand from you, how do you reflect those things to your colleagues around the world? You talked about the last exhibition that didn't let Israeli companies to get in. From my point of view, on the marketing level, it was amazing by saying, okay, you're afraid of us showing our products here, meaning how much power our technology and background in defense has made more sales actually for the Israeli companies from what I'm learning and seeing. How do you see that influencing the story that we're trying to share with the world?
First of all, unfortunately, sometimes, it's also in educating kids. Unfortunately, you have to experience a bad situation in order to understand things that otherwise you cannot understand them. Exactly as you said, once they had missiles on Texas, so they understood that you cannot live with this reality. And talking about the Iron Dome, for example, so there are experts that think that if we hadn't this Iron Dome, the war would terminate much more quickly, because we couldn't allow ourselves to to just have so and so wounded and kill people. But it's not true. I mean, the idea is to protect and to find the right way in order, they talk about civilians that are involved or not involved. People doesn't understand it in abroad. So and once I have in my LinkedIn a lady that I won't say the name of the country, but she's in charge of procurement of defense technologies. And we just chat a little bit, and she told me as well about is there we're doing things like that and that in Gaza, and so and the Arab people. I told her, you don't understand that in Israel we have more than 22 or 23% of our people living amongst us with equal rights and equal responsibilities, and we have a good life together. And they want to live here and we want to live here. And I believe most of the population in Gaza or in Judea, they want the same. But it is what it is, and this is the situation. Now, marketing-wise, you say, okay, it was kind of promotion for our technologies. If you wouldn't let us to exhibit there, it shows that you're afraid from us and you think that we have the best solutions. However, marketing, the idea, I talking marketing-wise, the idea of go to market, this is the essence of marketing. People are going to the market. If you want to sell something, if you want to promote something, you have to go to the market. And Israel is like many other things that we are doing. We are, there's also an idiom in marketing. There are hunters and there are farmers. And once you're going in exhibitions, a big exhibition, you see booth of exhibitors that are sitting there, with their hand like that. This is what I have. If you have an interest, come on. But you see other booths of companies, and the Israelis are the best in it, that they are in the aisle and they catch everybody and they say, look what we have here. This is the hunting perception of marketing. And Israelis are participating the defense and security shows all over the world, in the USA, in FIDE Chile, in Singapore Air Show, everywhere, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia, when they'll be able, with agents in countries that we are not allowed to be there, because this is marketing. You have to go to the market. And from my responsibility as a marketeer, as a media expert, I have to admit and to say to our exhibitors, for example, we have almost 70 exhibitors in our Defense Tech exhibition. And, for the big industries like Elbit, the Israeli aircraft industry, like Rafael, it's not a problem to be anywhere and to be big. But for the medium-sized company and the small company and the startups, it's not so easy to go over the world. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of expenses. You have to know how to handle marketing habits and marketing culture. So being in Israel, it's kind of an easy solution for them. So I say, go abroad because this is the market. Go everywhere that you can. You can allow yourself. And obviously, when delegations are coming to Israel, it's not like Milipol, for example, when you have or the air salon in Le Bourget. You have thousands of people walking along your booth. And in Israel, we'll have 500, 700, 1,000 visitors from abroad. But the advantage is that they are, like we call in media, captured audience. They are us. They are coming to Israel for 3 or 4 days. They'll be just in the exhibition. They will go to visit industries. You'll be able to have meeting with them. You don't have your competitors. And yes, this is our national exhibition. This is almost a matter of national pride. But national pride with, from one hand, state-of-the-art technologies that are good solution, that are combat proven, and they prove themselves, unfortunately, how they save life of soldier, of population in Israel. And on the other hand, we are ready to share them. Come and take them to your country to protect your country. And let's do collaboration. We are talking about in the conference, we have an innovation arena. So on one side, we'll have the like elevator pitch of the startups, but on the other hand, we'll have seats that will talk about global cooperation, for example, global collaboration. We'll have in a seat like a venture capital of like Kinetica, for example. So they have in their seat people from Kinetica in Israel, Thomas Moore from 8V from the United States, people from Edge from the Emirates. They're all sitting together and understand that just global collaboration can be this growth engine for the whole defense tech community and for the whole defense tech industry all over the world. Because we have, let's say, two goals, two places we are going towards them. First of all, to protect population and to maintain democracies and peace all over the world. And for the other, and to make business, to make good business and to promote export and to revive our industry.
So it sounds like conferences are a main part of the journey of a startup, of a big company, in order to get to the end user. I mean, there's always, and you mentioned it, when talking about startups, they need to decide, am I going to be moving from one conference to another? Because there's like the season of conferences. So it starts, if I compare it to fashion, so you have the fashion week in Paris, and then it's in London, and then it's in New York, and then it's in Los Angeles, and then it goes to London. And there's like a cycle that people that are in that industry are moving and doing that
On
journey
air all the time. Yeah.
on air all the time. It's a certain period of the year, and then if I compare it to music, so you go back to record, to the lab, work on your product, and come again next year. I feel that the conferences and that's the next question that actually comes up to my head is we're talking about hardware. There are a lot of people that are coming here in order to see the hardware. You said that they're going to meet the industries, they're going to go to the field. They want to see those things working. And here we can show it operating, not to take them into the combat field, but we already have
Simulations, yes.
the simulations and places to present it. What are you doing on that layer in the conferences? Are there going to be simulations of products functioning? There would be a day that they're out of the exhibition and they're going to watch companies operating their products.
So first of all, I think it was 25 years ago when we established the idea. We called it an active seminar.
I knew that I said 25 years ago.
Yes, and we did. We took people not to the exhibition grounds, but to the field, to מטווח, איך קוראים? To
The shooting range.
shooting range, to the fields, to see the technology in action. However, from the other side, regulations became very, very hard in Israel. So we'll have demos of robotics, of drones, of control and command. How do you see on the screens when you have a danger that's coming from, an idea from Iran, for example. I don't know why I think about
Yes.
it, but strange, yes. But how do you react and
Manage the
and
situation.
manage the situation? However, yes, it's a field of marketing on lots of levels. But as long as you establish the connection, the networking between people, and this is the reason that I got into this business 40 years ago, because the live meeting, not through screens and not through media and not through the internet, is the best way to market. And I read an article that these all live events will gain a lot of interest again, not just in the field of marketing, but also between people, because people are starting to be sick and tired from screens, from bots, from things that you don't know if you're talking with a person or with a machine. And once you're going in, the Israeli aircraft industry, for example, will present their missiles and big technologies that are standing outside, that you will be able to walk through them and to touch them to understand how they works. However, the main thing in the exhibitions and conference is the ability to talk with each other, to say what I need and how you can give it to me.
As human with a human.
As human to human, eye to eye, shaking heads, sitting together, drink together, talk together, eat together. So the marketing is, because it's not my synonym that say marketing is all relationship, and building relationship on a surface of professionality, innovation, and personality. This is the best way to do things. And this is the way that you can prolong it. I mean, people doesn't know, for example, that in Turkey, in the good days, we didn't just sell to the Turkish people technologies. We send Israeli soldier to train them and to teach them how to defend themselves.
And also in search and rescue, every earthquake that they had, Israel was the first to be there to help. Our technologies were developed in order to solve Turkish.
Preparedness for emergency situation. This is the next show that we are going to establish, but it will be in Europe because, first of all, you have to protect yourself. But afterwards, you have to be able to save and to work with the population that were wounded or hurt. To rescue them from building that collapsed, or once they get into the hospital, many people at one time, it's a crisis, and you have to manage this crisis. And the emergency preparedness, unfortunately, is another thing that Israel is very good in it. And we have the methods. Here you have more methods, less technologies, but this method has also a knowledge that you can give to others. And as from thing that I read, Europe, Eastern Europe, there are countries that are not prepared with their hospital, with their health system to react to this kind of chaos that can, mass injuries and things like that.
I really want you to try and think about one company that you met, because being part of the production team, you get to know the people as individuals. And if you could give an example of one company that you met in those exhibitions in the so many years that you're operating in that space, that they were a very early startup that had a small stand of exhibitors, and you saw these guys grow and grow and grow, and today they are, as we call it, the right lane for the rest of the world in that industry. Do you have such an example?
First of all, I'll have to use here the methods of Arthur Miller. Well, we're talking about plays
Yeah.
and then books. The play All My Sons.
Right.
They are all my sons, and I cannot say things like that. But I really can say that I see lots of Israeli entrepreneurs that are working hard. They have this power, this unique Israeli power of working together. We are a community industries. We are like from the army. The whole team is working together and build things, and they work hard, and they go abroad and go to the market and then develop it. Another thing is that there are a lot more and more women that are coming into this field of innovation in general,
Yeah.
in the food security definitely, and in the defense field.
As well.
There are things that you didn't see before. And when I'm talking about a company like Smart Shooter, with Michal Mo, or the Mashkula with the robots, there and
With Liad.
yes, it's amazing. Now they are hardworking, they are determined, and they're going with a good technology and a good vision of I want to control the shock, I want to go to the market, and I want to do things. On the other hand, there are some, let's take for example, U-Vision. It's a company that they weren't so big in the beginning, and they grew and grew and they grew because of their knowledge, because of the technology, and because of their success in the field. So this whole all market of yes, it is the Jewish innovation, the Israeli pioneerism is the will to do things right and to do the right things. I think this is very, let's say, from the Bible, when David, he saw Goliath, or what he did, he took the thing
Slingshot.
and the slingshot and the put it directly in his eyes, and in your eyes was what he called. We do it today as well. So this is the special way of thinking. Besides the abilities to do things and team working and the strength of I want to be the first, I want to do things, good things, and I think I want to do good things for the world.
So if we talk about timing, because as all what you're saying is happening right now, why is timing so important in that space? How do you feel that this timing now is going to be very relevant for Israel as an economy, for the defense tech industry as an industry? I would like to get your perspective on that.
First of all, definitely, I said it from the business-wise side, because now countries expend a lot of money. It's not expending, it's investing a lot of money in protect themselves, in building their multi-layer protection for the countries. In the space level, I mean, all the air system, drones, missiles, things like that. This is the time. Now they put money. Now they procure in order to protect themselves. And the fast we'll do it, the more we'll gain from this cake. On the other side, I think that because of our poor image, not fair in the world, this is the time to show here, take it. We give it to you in order to protect yourself. All these Europeans that protest against Israel, for example, and doesn't say a word about what's happening in Iran, they can see that we are not, we're not keeping it for us in order to be, in order to conquer our neighborhood. No, we want to live in this neighborhood. We have a nice neighborhood in the Middle East. We are probably the most nice looking and clever neighbor in this neighborhood, and we are ready to share it with everybody. I did 15 years ago. We made a trilateral exercise, getting prepared for fires, for big fires, with the Palestinian authorities, with Jordanians, with people from Greece, from Cyprus, and from Italy. They all came to Israel, and we built for them 3 days of simulations, how work together in order to help each other. And I think this is the main idea of the Jewish perception, of the Israeli perception. We have it, we are ready to share it, and to show you that this is what we believe in it.
I wanted to ask you also, what have changed in the way success looks like? You're seeing companies for such a long time. I remember the first time I heard the word exit, it was related to ICQ, for example.
Yeah.
How do you see that emerging? Is it still the same thing? Now companies that sell for 400 million is not always an article in the newspaper anymore, or at least not in the main page.
It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a cultural problem. I mean that to define success, what success, and this go alongs with that youngsters in these days. They don't look, when you talk with youngsters, it's not like, let's say, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I want to have more, I want to buy more, want to be richer. No, most of the youngsters that you're talking with them, they want good life, calm life, to have their life. So from one point of view, they say like they can live with what they have, and from the other point of view, you hear about unicorns, you hear about startups that go to the market, and within 2 or 3 years they do their exit. On the way here, I heard in the radio. And they talk with three guys that during the reserve they developed the study something, the StudyWise.
Yeah,
excellent idea. During the reserve, in the field, when they have time, they sit together, they work together, they made an exit, they sold it. Wow, it's a big thing.
right.
And they sold it to an American company, and from a kindergarten in Rehovot or in Tel Aviv, they'll use it in Harvard or in Princeton. So this is marvelous. I mean, this is the world is small, the networking is very, very fast. And you have good idea, you can give it to the world, and you can contribute it to thousand millions of students, or on pupils that can use it. So it's also in the defense tech, it also would be it in food tech, in everything.
You brought a little bit of history, so I'm thinking maybe I can compare it to 100 years ago. That we have like 10 to 15 names of people that everybody would know.
Yeah.
Einstein, and the list continues. Maybe we're again in such an era that you either do huge changes to the word, or you're not that renowned.
This is the this is the, it's not a conflict, but when we're talking about popular and classical,
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back to the music. I mean, there are very good bands. I know Guns N' Roses, Metallica, but Beatles are Beatles. They became classical. Mozart is Mozart. So Einstein is Einstein until today. It's more than 100 years. Look, I'm also almost 100. I'm 64 years. but because of that, there are so many, and the market is so big. I don't think that people know today. They don't talk about models that I want to be like. I don't know. They don't know their names, and I don't know if they care so much about it, because sometimes when I'm going to high tech companies, and even in the defense tech, you see people that are working there because that interests them. They want to give stage for their innovation thinking. They want to solve problems. If they can take it to the field and to help their teams, their friends, in order to survive, in order to solve things, it's okay for them. Yes, we can do money with it, but as I feel today, it's not the way that people are thinking. I mean, it's very nice to go in Tesla and to buy it and to live in Tel Aviv in a 30,000 apartment a month, but I don't see it as the main motivator and the main thing that are people look for it. And sometime I heard in one of my conferences, Steph Wartheimer from Iskar in
Yeah.
Carmel. He was an imaginative industrialist, and he said, I was high tech, and once friends or youngsters from A200 came with their laptops, I became low tech. And talking about low tech and high tech, it's like we said about homeland security or defense tech, or now we're talking about deep tech and disruptive technologies. I mean, they're all names, but I don't know how many people know that during the war in Gaza, there was the problem of drones that are falling on tanks. So they took something like 400, how do you say, the people that work with the metal, and they be like roofs.
I
on
know
the
what you're
tanks.
talking about. The volunteers that would attach roofs
Yes,
for the tanks.
It's so easy solution. It's a very, it's imaginative solution.
Yeah.
Is it a high tech? It's an innovation, but it's all real life.
And I think that it also connects to what you mentioned before. We're learning from one country to another, because that's an example that came from Ukraine. I actually wrote about it lately, that we didn't imagine tanks in 2024 looking as they look right now, that they need to have protections on top of them. And
Yeah.
in Russia, you see them put like trees and spikes on top of the tank. And I was imagining something more like tanks are going to look like the cars that the Asian companies are developing, like with LED lights and a lot of technology on the outside. But suddenly it went 100 years back. It looks like Hunger Games.
Yes,
type of
well,
vehicles.
from the other point of view, they have the wind coat, and they have inside systems like space systems inside the tanks. But it's also the fighting method, because in Israel, I don't know, maybe in Ukraine as well, the tank commanders are on the top. They say outside. Once, for example, if I'll go back to the Yom Kippur War, the 73 war, when my father talks about the Syrian troops with the tanks, they drove where they are not, where all of them were inside and the tank was closed. And this allows the Israelis to come from behind and to hit them. So, things are changing, but this solution, for example, with the roofs, and the way that we did it, it's so fast. It took 2 weeks in order to produce them and to put them on the tanks. This is something very special, and there's something very unique, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. This is what we call the thinking beyond the box, or things like that.
Yeah, outside of the box is
Outside of the
definitely
roof.
what people were doing here in the first days of the war and are still doing. I think
Yeah.
it's an attitude. It's not
This
a
is also defense tech. I mean, this is a collaboration of way of
brains.
thinking, of brains,
Yeah.
of abilities, of technologies, and funds, of course.
So Leo, who is your role model?
My wife.
She is? Really?
Definitely, my wife, my children. I see my children. They talk about things that I didn't think about them when I was their age, and the Israeli idea, the Israeli narrative, is still the best. I'm talking about with friends abroad. I just talked with friend, an Israeli friend that live a lot of years because of his business in Australia. He has children in my children age, and he said, you know, youth in Europe, in Australia, even in the United States, they don't have any mission, they don't have any goal, they don't have any vision to go to. And you're lucky in Israel. Although some of the things are not, so happy if you have to go to the army,
Yeah.
but there are other kind of people, and we are good people, we are innovative people, and although we have a defense tech show, I'm sure that once we'll finish with it and everybody will be in peace, we'll be the best in culture show and in music show and a food show and everything.
Wow, that's impressive, and I wish that everything that you're saying will actually come when we'll have peace in the Middle East and all around the world. I mean, as it looks like on the global map right now, we're in an era that we don't know where it's going. Maybe the next step after things get resolved is a few calmer years for that generation of individuals that were so much thinking and looking into defense and war and how do I prepare myself and what am I gonna do and can I travel to this place right now or I cannot because of how and what is their perception about us, and the young generation that I think what you just said is that here they have more purpose when they wake up in the morning. It's not that people in other countries don't have goals, otherwise their countries would collapse. But it's a different purpose, and people wake up here and they are hungry to do better. Sometimes it comes from our need of survival. Sometimes it comes from our very clear minds, people with abilities, as you mentioned, and the understanding that there's a need and our story never
Never
ends.
ends.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah. The
We can
hope.
read it in the books. Similar events happened in the Bible back then, maybe with different characters and they had different names, but in the end of the day, we are into that cycle that every time starts, stops, we learn a little bit, we get to that same point, we forget, we get hit again.
I think that this is kind of, I don't know what to call it, a community responsibility. I think that people here feel responsibility. People here care for each other. And this is a responsibility that takes people like, when they end high school and they live all their dreams and go to serve 3 years in the army. And then they see they finish the army and go to high tech. They go to agriculture. They go to sit in the north or in the south because they believe in something. And this belief or the hope that goes with us for 3,000 years, it's a good motivator for innovation, for progress, for doing good.
I think you closed our conversation perfectly with that sentence. So
Marvelous.
see you all in Defense Tech IL. Can you mention the dates again?
Definitely. Defense Tech IL, 17, 18 February in Expo, Tel Aviv. We are in time of quick decisions. So it's not too late to get a flying ticket and to come to Israel. February is not so bad. It's nice weather. And it's going to be a super innovative and interesting exhibition and conference. And thank you for your time. I enjoy it.